I have three interesting samples here of showing what happens when you put a spirit in wood. When you put fresh spirit off the still into wood, what happens to it? The Phoenicians, who were the great merchant shippers of the whole Mediterranean area from about 700 BC up to 500 BC, were really the progenitors of shipping across the ocean. But they used clay amphorae. And of course, as we know, just from clay and earthenware pot stills, clay cracks, clay breaks. You can't really, it's not really the most efficient way of use for shipping, for distilling. So the Romans followed up really by starting the cooperage industry in the third century AD. And the Romans, of course, really took over from the Phoenicians as far as commerce in the Mediterranean basin. And because they were such adept shippers and producers of commodities, and commodities everywhere from nails to gold coins to olives, olive oil, salted fish, salted meat, I mean, anything that was considered a good for use by consumers, the Romans were into that sort of commercial enterprise. But they needed to ship, because the Roman Empire was so huge, they needed to ship, of course, to all corners of the empire. So what they did was, taking the cue from the Phoenicians, who they emulated a lot, certainly in commercial and shipping enterprises, they thought, you know, this amphorae thing just is not working. So they, because there's so many palm trees in Italy, they started creating barrels using staves from palm trees. But something better came along, and that was wood. Wood in the form of oak. Oak just was the one that was really excellent, that really had the right level of porosity for shipping wines and spirits in particular. And it's the air, but also it's the acids in oak that really promote the change in visuals, but also the acids also round off the tough edges. When spirit is coming off the still, yes, it smells flowery, it smells kind of fruity, and it's very nice, but it's still rough, raw, harsh spirit. But also there are other reasons. I mean, looking back in history, the Romans used wood barrels because you could roll them. You couldn't roll clay amphorae. You could stack barrels. Couldn't really, wood barrels. You couldn't do that with amphorae. So it's also a practical matter. Wood really took off in terms of wine and spirits in the 16th and 17th centuries, mostly for practical reasons, the same reason of shipping. The wine that would, you know, go on an ocean voyage and land at a port of call would somehow be a little bit better after that. They didn't start using barrels because they thought it would improve the quality of the wine or the spirits. Now, there are over 30 different chemical compounds in oak, but the three most important that we should know about are the three main acids that really affect wine and spirits. And those are tannin. Tannin, of course, is a preservative. It brings longevity. It gives length of life to wine and spirits. Second most important is lignin. Lignin adds body and texture. And the third important one is vanillin. And there's actually, in this third, now this spirit was aged for 7.5 years in an American oak barrel. And you could really see that there's nothing added to this. This is just color from the barrel, from mingling with the barrel, and also from the oxidation, the transfer of air through the barrel, through the grain of the barrel. Third one is vanillin, which adds characteristics that are like caramel, like toffee. At its absolute truest, it adds a quality like vanilla, vanillin, vanilla. The two main types of oak, really, that are used, certainly within the spirits industry, are French oak and American oak. American oak, which generally has a little bit tighter grain, which means basically that the transfer of air isn't as easy and passable as it is with a looser grain. The American oak imparts qualities like coconut, sometimes tropical fruit, in particular passion fruit or mango, butterscotch and toffee. French oak has a very different effect on most spirits. French oak, and this is including both black and white oak from France, impart things like nutmeg, spices, vanilla, ginger, and cocoa bean. So they're very different effects, but the idea behind this is all the same. To improve the level of quality, it's no longer just for shipping, it's to improve the level of quality of the spirit.